Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Kinney. I'm one of your co-hosts here on Over It on the Mayday Network. You are likely either watching on the Mayday Network, which we hope you will like and subscribe on YouTube, or via one of the Twitter feeds of my lovely co-host today. We have Julie Roginsky. She is the author of Salty Politics on Substack, and the wonderful JoJoFromJerz, Joanne Carducci, who is the author of Are You Effing Kidding Me on Substack, as well as the co-founder of The Siren, which I hope that you're all subscribed to as well.
Which is climbing the charts and
climbing the charts.
As Will Mayday.
And folks, if you have not yet subscribed to The Siren, please do, because it's awesome. And what Joe's building over there is phenomenal. But I don't want to really dwell on our business ventures here.
Oh no, it's but they're important, I think,
they're
in context of all of this. But yes.
Yeah. I hope everybody here had a chance to watch the Epstein survivors speak, because we have not seen that kind of power in a long time. And, I'll start off by saying this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and also the thoughts of people in the chat. Watching some of those women, it was obvious to me that these are women who were girls back then who did not come from the same side of the tracks that a lot of the men to whom they were trafficked came from. And that was by design. It was to create an even greater delta between the very, very, very powerful men whom they did not name but alluded to being very powerful, except for Lex Wexner, who people are not aware is or was at the time the chairman of, I think it's L Brands, but they own Victoria's Secret and
the guy's a total creep.
Yeah, the Limited and other things.
Mm-hmm.
And these girls who are now women, who were, one of whom was this woman who I think had never spoken before, was a Brazilian immigrant who dropped out of school at the age of 14 because she needed to earn money to support her family, and fell afoul of what is right and decent in this world, and ended up falling into Jeffrey Epstein's arms, quite literally, trafficked to him, I think, by Ghislaine Maxwell, who is now doing Pilates or yoga in her very Texas prison. And so prison camp, I should say. It's not even a real prison.
Yeah.
So to me, that was what's so striking, because it's one thing to read about this on paper. It's one thing, but the power of media and television, and, a picture paints it says 1,000 words, is so accurate here, because to actually see these women stand up.
Oh yeah.
And talk about this. They weren't polished. They weren't, they weren't, I assume they were prepped a little, but they certainly weren't people who had,
media training. Yeah. Like, it's right.
They were just women. And they were just women who were girls, who had been girls, who at the age of 14, that's the number that kept coming up over and over and over again. 14.
And one of them, he said, I think if it wasn't that one, it was another one who said that he kicked her out when she was 17 because she was too old.
Yep.
And the through line also here, Julie, to your point, was the promises of a better life, right? Of a job. Many of them said they were promised these jobs, right? So many of them said that they came from troubled households. And they were picked for those reasons in large measure, because Ghislaine knew how manipulatable they would have been. And I just, like, it's so hard to know how many times these human beings have been victimized by the same perpetrators of all of these horrible crimes, because it's not enough that they were victimized as children. They've been victimized as adults with cover up after cover up, immunity deals, no non-prosecutions, redacted files, hidden files, accountability, establishments now that prevent accountability. They have just had to endure all of this to watch these films.
Yeah, Joe, you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Is that any better?
Yeah, better now.
Yep.
I don't know what happened there. Apologies. It's probably the same as the flyovers,
Yeah,
which were
right.
so coincidental. But to watch, to watch those women stand up there and share these horrible truths that come with a shame that should never belong to them, but many of them acknowledged, was incredibly powerful. And they are warriors, and they are brave, and they are the faces of abuse. And so many of them also said, to other survivors, like they're doing this not just for themselves and for what happened to them, but they quoted the stats. 1 out of every 5 women in this country will experience sexual assault, sexual abuse of some kind. I'm not Nancy Macing this and making it about myself, but I have also been the victim of sexual abuse, and it was amazingly powerful. And I am filled with pride for what they did, but rage for what has happened and continues to happen to them. But I'm actually feeling really hopeful that we might actually be on the precipice of some change here.
Yeah, I think to your point, Joe, I have never been sexually abused, but I was sexually harassed in a very high profile type situation. And then a few months later, I think I said this before you got on the chat here, Joe, when we were doing the live with Epstein survivors, I stood up as a result of being sexually harassed myself. Allegedly, I have to say that per my contract with Fox. But as a result of that, I had some young women come to me and tell me about being sexually abused and other things happening on Governor Murphy's campaign, the governor of New Jersey. And I think the part that was so painful for me, and I can only imagine how painful it is in exponentially so for these women, is not the bad thing that happens to you, but then when you go for help and you go and report the bad behavior and you do it because you think somebody's going to help you, but instead they retaliate against you, or they harm you. That, I'll speak just for myself. And again, I have never been sexually assaulted. And I will go a step further to say that I certainly was never sexually abused as a young girl. So that is a level of horror that I cannot wrap my head around. But what I can say from my own very small, again, not to Nancy Mason either, but from my own very small example to bring back to them, is the awfulness of asking for help from the Department of Justice, from the Palm Beach prosecutor, from the Department of Justice under George Bush in 2008, then from the Department of Justice under Bill Barr in 2019, then under the Department of Justice under Pam Bondi in 2025. And every single time being told, sorry, not only are we not going to help you, we're not even going to tell you what we're doing until you read about it in the press. Whether giving this non-prosecution agreement that Alex Acosta, who then Trump inexplicably made, maybe not so inexplicably made the Secretary of Labor, whether it is trying to get out of it and then being told that, sorry, this non-prosecution agreement, the Department of Justice is going to defend this non-prosecution agreement, so you can't do anything about it. Whether it is being told that Jeffrey Epstein is going to finally be held accountable for his crimes. And then, oh, whoops, now he's dead. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but let's take it at face value. He committed suicide. I don't know if that's true, but let's take it at face value. Bill Barr, whose father, parentheses, hired Jeffrey Epstein at the Dalton School, despite Jeffrey Epstein not having a college degree, to teach math and physics, which is also a question that's never really been asked of him as to why. Bill Barr didn't punish anybody except the 2 guards and the warden at the Metropolitan Correction Facility in New York. Nobody at the Bureau of Prisons had their heads rolled from the fact that one of the most high profile, prominent prisoners was suddenly left unattended enough to commit suicide. Bill Barr, you know what Bill Barr said about that? Direct quote. A series of really unfortunate coincidences and bad events. Okay. And then They hear for the last 4 years from Donald Trump, and from everybody around him, we're going to release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. They put the guys in charge of the FBI who are making a huge issue about releasing the Epstein files, only to find out within 3 months of that happening that there's no list, and Pam Bondi wants the whole thing to go away. And Donald Trump continues to say, including Joe, as you said today, that it's a hoax. These women have been screwed, not sexually. They've been screwed morally for the last 20 years, well after they were sexually abused.
Did you hear one of them listening to the audio from the Blanche interview and how she was saying that was Ghislaine's voice when Ghislaine groomed them, when Ghislaine worked them and made them trust her before she not only delivered them. I'm sorry about my audio. I don't know what's going on. Right. Is it still echoey?
Nope, just for a second.
Before, so listening to that interview again, Julie, like exactly what you're saying. They had to listen to that interview of a woman who is now in what they call Club Fed, right? Where they've freaking goat yoga and pottery, and they've removed someone who was there because that was the right place for her, because she was complaining about Ghislaine being there because she's a 20-year convicted child sex trafficker. But when they were listening to that audio of, let's not call it like any kind of testimony or, deposition, what that was and what they used it for briefly, however long it worked, because it didn't work for long, was them trying to expunge Donald Trump's involvement in all of this. She said, she never saw him there and he never was anything but a gentleman. And imagine also having to hear that and knowing that in reward, she was granted immunity for that. And then she was rewarded for that with a cushy prison sentence that is likely, we all know this, to end up as a pardon or commutation or whatever, probably at the end of the second season of the shit show. It is, they talked about that a lot. And there were a lot of follow-up questions about that, and which is good. But no one in the press asked Trump about it. After. Nobody. What the hell? What? They leave it at it's a hoax? He says it's a hoax. They talked about that too. Imagine someone calls you being raped a hoax. Thousands of you who stood up there so bravely and described what had happened to you, how your life was destroyed, and someone, the most powerful man on the planet, says it's a hoax. Sorry, Julie's dad, but fuck that. And fuck.
JoJo, I have the clip of Trump saying it's a hoax. I'd like to show that, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Mr. President, what is your message to Putin?
President, right now, there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massie, who was sponsoring a discharge position to get the House to vote on releasing those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow-walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. It reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything.
What?
Huh?
Well, I'm surprised it's not the Russia hoax.
I know. I was like, I thought he was going to say Russia, but apparently.
You know what I think is fascinating? First of all, I don't know who asked that question, but of course, I don't recall Thomas Massie. I watched that press conference, as I know you did, Michelle, and I know you did, Joe, also very carefully. Does anybody in the chat recall that Thomas Massie said he doesn't think Trump is implicated? I don't think Thomas Massie said that. I don't.
No, he said he was very careful. He said this isn't about implicating Trump. He said that because it's smart to say that, because otherwise it looks like it's purely political, right? He did not exonerate him. No,
Thomas Massie, because he can't.
No
more than you can exonerate you or me or anybody else. You know how I know that? Because we haven't seen the list, so we can't exonerate anybody, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. So I'd love to know who asked that question. I suspect it was probably one of his little, OAN plans for somebody. But if it's
like a little guy with the glasses whose name I don't know, but I think
it's not Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
Oh yeah, it's not Brian Glenn from RSBN.
Because, but it's interesting. how much of a Democratic hoax could it be if Marjorie Taylor Greene was standing there?
Well, and that's the follow-up
And
question.
Thomas Massey.
That's the follow-up question. Now, I don't know what happened after that because I wasn't
Nothing.
watching, but I'm
They
I'm
Putin.
assuming
Moved
that
on to
nothing
Putin.
happened.
Yeah.
The next question was about Vladimir Putin. The very next question was about Putin. Like,
Like,
know what?
also important, but like, let's stay on task. You know what I mean? And this is where the journalists, it's like nobody has each other's back either, which is just crazy to me. Like, this is like when there's one reporter in the press pool who's being attacked by Trump, why isn't the next reporter standing up for them? Like, why isn't there a piggybacking situation? Why aren't they all kind of getting together to get to the bottom of things? And this is because they're all answering to their own corporate overlords and being told what to say and what not to ask, and which, is why, our opening about what we're doing is so important, why what Joe is doing at the Siren and what we want to do here at Mayday, this is why, because we want to ask the tough questions. We want answers to those tough questions because we can't rely on the American media, legacy media, to do that for the American people, for any of us.
I think it's
Bullshit.
even more sinister than that. I think not sinister. I think it's even more ridiculous than that. The media is not made for this moment.
No.
Because the media is made for, Joe says the earth is flat, but Julie says the earth is round. Now let's have a fair and balanced debate, right? Like, that's what's happening. Trump says this is a hoax. Hundreds of women say that they were trafficked to Jeffrey Epstein. Let's give that equal weight, because we have to respect the office of the presidency. We have to respect the president. He can't possibly be some crank. And that's what you're seeing here, right? And then, so let's move on to Vladimir Putin. And listen, nobody cares more about what's going on in China today than I do with Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. But I'll tell you right now, that's not the story of right now. Not when he's saying hoax. It deserves a follow-up. You could also ask about Trump and Putin. You could ask about Xi Jinping. I'm not suggesting you don't have those questions also. But if he says this is a hoax, the follow-up question has to be, this is why Mayday Media exists, and this is why the Siren exists, and this is why we're not going to cower to this bullshit. The follow-up question has to be, Mr. President, are you suggesting that the women who stood on the Capitol steps today, and the east front of the Capitol today, are you suggesting that those women all made it up?
Yep. And also, if that is true, then why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison at all? Why was she convicted and sentenced to 20 years for a hoax? Why haven't you pardoned her if you think this was a hoax, right? Clearly, you can't. This is the definition of Trump. It's all this doublespeak. None of it makes sense. It doesn't square. And he knows that the media will move off of the story and onto the next thing, because that's what they always do. And yesterday, my Substack today is going to be about, it's called Lies, Lies, and Videotape, because all he ever does is lie. And they accept the lie and move on for him to lie some more. Yesterday, he returned from nearly a week of playing Where in the World is, melon-hued Messiah, and they asked him one question about it. I think it was frickin' Deucey Light who asked him, "Well, did you find out that you were dead?" And that was it. He said, "I was out and about. I was all over the place. It was a long weekend. I didn't know that people thought I was dead. I did know that people thought I was dead." All of the same usual bullshit, doublespeak lies, while he's standing there with freaking dark hands, McSpackle, right? And they don't follow up. There's no follow up. They accepted it. They moved on. The guy who never shuts up, shut up for a week straight. We had Bigfoot grainy pictures from several hundred yards away at best, and they moved on. And they're going to move on again from the next thing to the next thing. And you're right, Julie, they are not built for this moment, because they are held to a different standard now. They answer to their overlords. They answer to corporate profits. They answer to dollar bills, and that is not helpful for the American people, for the rest of the world.
Yeah. And Michelle, I don't know, jump in here, because it's depressing, right?
Oh, it's super depressing. I saw a reporter ask a question. I don't know if this was recent or not. It was like one of the actors from *Inglourious Bastards*. I can't remember his name. And the reporter asked him in like this press junket, "How do you stay hopeful?" And he leaned over to the microphone and he said, "I don't." And I was like, this is relatable. And I don't mean to tell people to not have hope, because I think we should. But this is all super depressing. Like, this is why I'm all up in Jake Tapper's Twitter comments in the last couple days while he's promoting his new stupid book about, not to say the subject matter is stupid, but like his book that he won't shut up about, another book.
Here's another
And
book.
he's like, here, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's like, here's my tour dates for this book, and come see me here at this bookstore. And I'm like, oh, will you be announcing your book about the decline of Donald Trump's mental and physical health while he permanently damages and collapses the United States government and the very fabric of this nation? Like, no. Okay, great. Move it. This is another thing. Like, why does Jake Tapper get to be there with his millions of dollars salary? Again, not serving the American people. Like, this is why the free press is so important. And yes, I guess it's still free, sorta, but how free is it when there's this chilling effect in place where, Timothy Snyder says, "Do not obey in advance," and all the legacy media said, "Oh, but not me. Like, because I'm gonna make money, and Donald Trump's in charge. Like, if I need a merger, if I need to do business, like, Donald Trump's not gonna let me." And like, what?
Or they're saving it for the book, right?
Yeah, that part is,
Or they're
yeah.
saving it
Don't
for the
even get
next,
me started.
18 to 24 months, which is probably from when the event happens to when the book actually sees the light of day.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm paying for cable, but I'm not going to get what I need to get cable from Jake Tapper. I'm going to have to wait 18 to 24 months to get that story when I have to buy Jake Tapper's book, right? I pay for the New York Times, but am I going to get what I need out of the New York Times, or do I have to wait for the book?
They're going to save all the best parts for their books, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Always. And I just want to jump in just on a technical situation. I just got a text saying we're all breaking up. So is there an issue with the sound? If there is in the chat, just let us know can hear us. So keep going. Sorry.
This happened to me
Yeah,
with
StreamYard is like
recently
very
as well.
glitchy lately.
What
I don't know what's up, but if people can't hear us, just let us know. We'll try to fix that. I don't know how, but we'll try. But either way, Julie, Joe, continue on. Yes, you are all breaking up.
all right, hold on. Let me yeah, this happened to me.
Yes, you're all going funny. It's sporadic, a little choppy, but okay. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take us all out and put us back in, and maybe that will do something. Just give us. I don't know if that did anything, but we'll see.
I'm going to text you because when this happened, Sam was able to fix it, and I'm asking him why. How?
Okay.
Is it still happening, everybody?
I don't know.
This happened to me. It was devastating. The first 15 minutes of Heather Cox Richardson.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Heather Cox Richardson, Politics Girl, Allison Gill, and Dana Goldberg. The first 15 minutes were trash.
Oh, that's terrible.
Because
it's still doing the glitch. I don't know why. I'm so sorry, everyone.
It's a DPI thing or something in the settings, Michelle.
Okay.
He said he changed. Do you see anything related?
Well, let's keep going.
Yeah, just keep going and then
Keep going. It's really awful. You guys tell us, and we'll stop.
Yeah.
So listen, it's demoralizing. It's depressing, and the part that I just keep coming back to over and over again is you're supposed to look for. Is Michelle? You reminded me, Mr. Rogers. You're supposed to look for the helpers. If something bad happens, look for the helpers. Or who is the biggest helper other than the Justice Department? That's supposed to be the biggest helper in the world. And again, let's not forget how far back this goes. Alex Acosta was and I'm hearing feedback. I don't know if somebody has me on.
that might be, hold on, I'm pressing buttons. Keep going, sorry.
Alex Acosta, nope, still hearing myself. What else keep saying? Was the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida under George W. Bush.
Mm.
That's how long ago this goes. Why was George Bush, who's not been mentioned at all, why was he protecting Alex Acosta? Why was Alex Acosta protecting Jeffrey Epstein?
And why is Donald Trump threatening Republicans on Capitol Hill right now if they pursue this and vote for this discharge petition? Why is he threatening them? Why was our military buzzing over this press conference like they were going to war? Why are they running interference for this now? Why isn't that a question? And why isn't the idea that Ghislaine is a Republican?
Yeah.
Like, and someone said, and I'm so sorry, guys, about the breaking up. I know that sucks, but somebody said today that this isn't about politics. It's not about red or blue or Republican, Democrat, right? This is like, how do you answer to this? How can you look at the face of a child or anybody, a family member, a brother, a sister, a cousin, a daughter, a friend? How can you look them in the eye and say, I was okay with this? How?
Well, that's the part that just absolutely annoys me about this whole situation, Joe. And you raise a really good point. Because I remember when Gretchen Carlson and I were passing our 2 laws on the Hill, the way we got people to support senators and members of Congress to support our legislation was they would always get up on the floor and they'd say, I have a wife and I have a sister, or I have a daughter, and if something like this ever happened to her, if she ever got sexually assaulted or sexually harassed, I want her to have her day in court, or I want her to be able to speak. And my whole thing is like, really? Do you need to have a wife or a sister or a daughter to be a good human being? Like, because I don't have a wife and I don't have a sister and I don't have a daughter. I'm surrounded by boys. Even my dog is a man. And I don't, and I'm not a child. I'm not going to be ever nobody's going to be a sexual predator with me as a child. It's just the right thing to do. Like, what is the fucking, sorry, Dad, problem? These women just stood on the Capitol grounds and told you what happened to them. You had a girl who's now a woman telling you she had to drop out of freshman year of school to effectively pleasure Jeffrey Epstein. And as a result of that decision that she made at the age of 14, I am positive that she's not raking in the cash these days. And I don't know what kind of job she has as a non-high school graduate. Not to mention all of the attendant psychological problems and probably trust issues that she's had affecting every aspect of her relationships with men, with women, with authority, with her children, if she has any, with everybody. Her parents, worrying that somebody was going to come and kill her family in Brazil. Are you kidding me? Probably with good reason. Talking about how there were Eastern European girls who could not come forward as Eastern European women now, because as we saw, speaking of Vladimir Putin, when you have Russian refugees showing up here, guess who deported 10 Russian refugees yesterday back to Russia to go straight to the gulag? Donald Trump did that for his friend Vladimir Putin. We don't think that Vladimir Putin's going to do that for his friend Donald Trump to one Russian girl who raises her hand and says, oh yeah, I was trafficked 20 years ago to Jeffrey Epstein when I was, somewhere. I mean, you don't need to have a wife or a sister or a mother or a daughter to understand what this is about. You shouldn't. And you don't need to be a woman to do this. I'm sick of the women. I have to say this, and I'm getting myself wound up. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace. Not my cup of tea. Any of them. But why is it that it's just, aside from Thomas Massey, why is it 3 women on the Republican side?
I'm telling.
Where are the men? Where are the men? Where are you, Elise Stefanik?
I was just going to say that. I was like, where's Elise Stefanik, who hasn't held a public town hall in 6 years? It's they're cowards and they don't want to have to face it. And, they can make all these excuses that they don't want to believe women, but don't want to believe women. Would you believe children? Because this cabal of child pedophilia, that Pizzagate, all this shit that's been going on in QAnon, it was real. They were just pointing at the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's the reality of this.
right. And remember, the foundation would crumble underneath everything they hold dear. And so they can't, right? They put back into power someone who bragged about grabbing women by the pussy, someone who in the interim has been found liable of sexual abuse, someone who has been convicted on 34 felony counts related to one of his many affairs that he had, right? This is a person that they hold up as pious and devout and a family man and a patriot, when all of it is a lie. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all the man behind the curtain. And they cannot, like so many, fundamentally, and I'm talking about the real MAGA supporters, the cult, because those elected officials, they know better. And they will tell you, and a lot of Democrats will say this, behind closed doors, they say, I don't like this, I don't like him, right? That's a definition of fucking cowardice, right? These are not profiles in courage. And it is absolutely reprehensible what they have built. And it's all based on a lie. And if you tear it down to this level where we expose the truth about this man who is going way out of his fucking way to make sure that this goes away, and it's not going away, if they expose that truth about him, then everything falls apart around them, and they have no existence. And at the end of the day, this is all about them having power and access to power. To what end is the great mystery to me? Because why do you need power if you're going to go to Congress and do nothing related to what your constituents need or want, but going to serve Donald Trump? Fucking cowards. They're disgusting, fucking deplorable cowards.
It's Gollum from Lord of the Rings. If like you guys, if you're watching at home, you don't know Lord of the Rings, there is this like little, Hobbit character, there's a ring, and it's like anybody who gets near the ring like becomes like a little monster, and you can't think about anything else except the ring because the ring has all the power. That's what this is. Because once you get a hold of it and you have your hands on it and you're living in that power, people don't give that away. People do not give that up. Most people,
But, to your point, Joe, and if, another question that I would have for the president that I wish somebody would ask him is, what part of this is a big Democrat hoax? The part where these girls back in 2007, 2008 said that Jeffrey Epstein did this to them? Like, Donald Trump wasn't running for anything back then. He wasn't talking about running for he briefly talked about running for president when he came back from Russia back in the late 80s.
He's always been talking about that.
My point is, like, he didn't, he was on The Apprentice. So were they trying to get him then? Because they weren't. Yeah. Were they trying to get George Bush, who was the president at the time, who was a Republican? No, because nobody's ever alleged that he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. What part of this is the Democrats' hoax? What part of this is set up by the Democrats in order to get whom? Whom?
Also, this is the person who called COVID a Democrat hoax. Called a global pandemic a Democrat hoax. It's like he's so fucking predictable and he's so shallow and stupid. Oh, we lost Julie.
Oh, she said she had to grab a charger.
Oh, okay.
And she might have to jump off for a second.
Yeah, like it's like everything I don't like is woke. It's like everything I don't like is a Democrat hoax. Like, and again, that it's acceptable for anybody, let alone the mainstream media, to just move on from that. It is, man, it's how we got here. They're normalizing all of this and moving on when it demands that they don't. And again, it's stuff like Michelle, this, these are human beings. This is not political. This should not be.
It shouldn't be.
Right? I mean, for whatever it's worth, and part of what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing is she's trying to maintain, her base, which she made this, the QAnon version of this, one of her big signature issues. Also, sidebar, she is very upset with Donald Trump because Donald Trump said, you cannot run for Senate in Georgia. I will not back you for Senate in Georgia. And that did not make her happy because she's been a very loyal soldier. So she's got a little bit more bravery and admirability, so to speak, going on right now. But there's a lot of layers there. But I mean, the fact that even she is like, no, this is not going to fly. Where Charlie Kirk is like, we're not talking about that anymore. And, everybody else has moved off of it. We can't. We cannot move off of this. Because look what we're enabling and emboldening and empowering and rewarding repeatedly. And I know we talk about this a lot, but from Donald Trump to Elon Musk to Pete Hegseth to RFK Jr., we have established a precedent where sexual abusers are rewarded with levers of power, and that's not a trajectory we want to be on as a country.
No, and I mean, listen, look at the people, like all the people that you just listed, do not view like women as human beings. We're less than. And I mean, this is why, Pete Hegseth has said things about women serving in positions of power, why he has ushered in his crazy lunatic Christian nationalist pastor into the halls of power in Washington, D.C., who says that women should not have the right to vote. This is all related. All of this happens, this dehumanization of an entire group of people that has existed now for hundreds of years. We're on an upward trajectory, but we have a long way to go, obviously. But this is why they can't see victims of sexual abuse, specifically women, as human beings, and not trustworthy and not credible, and finding any reason not to believe them. I'm starting to break up again, except Michelle. Well, okay, I'll keep talking.
I just sent you a message off in our chat too. So that might work.
Okay, thank you so much. And it's just, this is why all this stuff is related, and this is why we can't keep our eye off the ball when it comes to rights to our own bodies, abortion rights, voting rights, rights in the workplace, all the stuff that Julie is fighting for with Lift Our Voices and with Gretchen Carlson, all the legislation that you're trying to get passed on behalf of women and victims of abuse in the workplace. Like, all of this is related. And the Republican Party, unfortunately, more so than Democrats, but it does exist on the left as well, have a reputation for dehumanizing women. And this is
It's
the kind of,
it's not, I just want to be clear. This is not a partisan issue. It's not a partisan issue. And that's the biggest heartbreak of all to me, is that the biggest proponent of our legislation, you mentioned my legislation with Gretchen Carlson, was Lindsey Graham.
Which is wild to me.
I mean,
it's so crazy.
Right. Lindsey Graham and Kirsten Gillibrand talk about strange bedfellows. But consistently.
Yeah.
So really went to bat for us. And so I want to say that, and you've seen him be very silent on this Epstein thing. I don't think he's come out and said this is a hoax, which is interesting because he's defended Trump on virtually everything else.
Even Ukraine.
But even Ukraine, which is just whatever. But it's pretty interesting to me how these women, but not surprising that these women don't trust anybody. I don't think they're going to give Marjorie Taylor Greene that list. I understand why she said that she's not afraid. It's not because she's so brave. It's because the speech and debate clause allows her to go on the floor of the House and say whatever the hell she wants, and she can't get prosecuted for it for defamation, which is why Nancy Mace did that whole presentation of who she got raped by and abused by, and her ex-boyfriend or her ex-fiance, whatever it was, because she has immunity to do that on the floor. You can do that as part of the speech and debate clause on the floor. I don't know that they will trust Marjorie Taylor Greene to take that information from them and to provide the entire list. There may be people on that list that Marjorie Taylor Greene may not want to reveal. I'm not casting any aspersions upon her here. I think sounds like she's in the right place. But if you're these women, you've been completely mistrustful of all of them, of all these people. Why would you? And by the way, I could see Donald Trump saying, or somebody else who wants to sue them for defamation saying, well, you're the ones who provided the list that allowed her to do this, so we're going to sue you for defamation. And good luck trying to figure out in court whether that's accurate or not.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, what we've seen now with his sudden interest in mortgage fraud, right, is he will use whatever he needs, whatever mechanism of his power he needs to use at our expense to go after you, to hurt you, including his new favorite tool, which is mortgage fraud. Well, this is, by the way, a business fraud who bankrupted casinos and stole from his own charity, who was suddenly keenly aware of and interested in stopping mortgage fraud. No,
he was
only when
prosecuted for it by the Attorney General of New York civilly.
Right.
Right. Well, that's mortgage fraud.
Right. And so now he's using it to go after Lisa Cook and help me, AG.
As James.
Thank you. So there are lots of weapons and tools, including our guys and ladies in the sky, just to literally fly over this thing.
Oh my gosh.
Just to kind of like,
wait, we have to talk about that for a second. Can we please talk about that? Because we were talking about it in the chat, and then I have a good friend who lives in Maryland and lives in a neighborhood with a lot of families whose parents work in defense and things like that. And in their group chats were saying, this is super, like, they weren't saying it for a fact, but like, why are there planes flying over? This is deliberate.
Oh, and that boy loves him a flyover. We all know that his little sandbox of toys that he loves to play with, whether it's, filleting fucking Putin or whatever. He did it for one of his own stupid signings. He loves a flyover. The 5-time draft dodger who mocked, a POW. He loves to use our military jets as props. So of course. And who's he gonna call? Who's he gonna call? Keg breath. Hey, buddy, what's the biggest, loudest plane you can fly consistently back and forth over these women sharing their stories that I suspiciously, for no good reason, don't want anyone to hear.
Yep.
Like, so he like that sort of epitomizes how he will use the government, our government, to enact whatever appeases him, but also retribution. So even if it's not defamation, he'll find ways financially, legally to if you who knows, if you forgot to sign something, I mean, your daughter's permission slip or some shit, like, honest to God, he will go after you in some way, shape, or form. One of those women said it today. I'm already scared enough. When asked about Donald Trump, think about that. Think about what she is saying. They were all skirting around naming him directly, but they named him insofar as they said that Epstein bragged most about his buddy Donnie and how he had an 8x10 picture. Think about who has an 8x10 picture of another dude in their house.
I have this clip. I'd like to play it really quick. One second.
Yeah. About Ghislaine Maxwell being transferred to a lower security prison in the aftermath of speaking to Todd Blanche.
I think this is right.
I'm happy to speak to that.
Oh no,
we
this
were
was
horrified.
not it. Let me look. Hold on. I thought it was.
Well, while you're looking, I'll say that was the part where they did discuss the Blanche interview of Ghislaine Maxwell, and they talked about how hearing her voice in that interview was re-triggering and re-traumatizing all over again, because that was the same soft-spoken, cool, soothing, tuned, voiced Ghislaine who took them off the streets and out of Donald Trump's.
Well, they basically were saying, kind of inadvertently, that she was grooming Todd Blanche to believe her, in the same way she groomed them to believe her as well. I mean, look, here's the difference. Ghislaine Maxwell grew up with a very fucked up dad. Sorry to my not fucked up dad for using that kind of language, but Robert Maxwell, who was a nightmare. If you want to read something interesting, read about his life. But nevertheless, she, a billionaire on paper, at least, it all went to hell, but grew up with yachts. He had a boat called the Lady Ghislaine. She was the favorite child. She grew up going to the best schools. She went to Oxford. She, beautiful and educated and well-mannered and hanging out with royalty and hanging out with presidents and apparently so charismatic that it wasn't just because she was with Jeffrey Epstein. She was his entree into that high society thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a woman who knows how to manipulate people who are easy to manipulate, i.e. 14-year-old girls.
Yep. Abuser. Like, I mean, she's a sociopath,
Yeah.
abuser. And here's, I have the clip, and Joe, I know you have a heart out here. So I want to give you a chance to have a final say or final word, final say. But here's the clip really quick.
Surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. And what I endured will haunt me forever. I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us. But one thing is certain, unless we learn from this history, monsters like Epstein will rise again. There are files, government files, that hold the truth about Epstein, who he knew, who owed him, who protected him, and why he was allowed to operate for so long without consequence. Why was Maxwell the only one held accountable when so many others played a role? Why does the government hide this information from the public? This secrecy is not protection, it's complicity. And as long as the truth is buried, justice will remain out of reach. That is why this bill matters. Passing it will, bless you, ensure that the suffering of survivors is not in vain. Passing it will bring accountability, transparency, and prevention.
I wanted to play that she said that his biggest brag, to your point, Joe, that's what he said. His biggest brag was that he was friends with Donald Trump, that he was close with Donald Trump, and that he had the 8x10 photo of them or him on his desk. And he was also he bragged about knowing Bill Clinton, that he was friends with Bill Clinton, who we know was part of this. And that's where this, Julie, you were saying, this is nonpartisan. Doesn't matter. Yeah, because you know what? Like, if Bill Clinton's on that list, which I'm sure he is and has done some horrible things, burn it to the ground, guys. Burn it all down.
And that's the difference. Every time I'm on Twitter and I say something about this, everybody's always sending me stupid pictures of Bill Clinton that Epstein had.
Okay.
Bill Clinton and that Monica. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, you know why I'm not in a cult? Because if it's Bill Clinton, great. If it's Barack Obama, great. If it's Joe Biden, great. I don't care.
Right.
Unless it's my husband, in which case I would be very shocked.
My God.
Burn it all down, right? Like, burn it down.
And Joe, I know you have to head out. So I just want to say goodbye. Julie and I'll stay in for another minute.
Thanks, guys. Sorry.
But thanks for being here, Joe. Big hugs. I love you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye. But my point is, what I was saying, Michelle, is like, I don't care who it is, and none of us should care who it is, other than those people deserve to be held accountable. And if you think that I have a problem, or you have a problem, Michelle, with the fact that some of those people may be former Democratic presidents, I don't care. And I think Bill Clinton was an excellent president.
Yeah.
But if he did this, then he deserves to be exposed.
He's a very bad man.
Now say the same about Donald Trump, my MAGA friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, that's all there is to it. I mean, these are children. Like, this is the part
Children.
I just, this is the part that I guess I can't just get past. They are children. I have a son who is a year younger than these. He's 13 years old.
Mm.
And so I'm around a lot of 13, 14-year-old girls as a result of him having friends.
Yeah.
These are children. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
No.
I don't care if their bodies are developed. I don't care if they've already hit puberty. Mentally, they are children.
I think about, like, when I was 14, I was like playing my clarinet and like, do you know, it's just like, you're a kid, you're a child. And like, I remember reading when some of this news was breaking, however many weeks, months ago it was, there was so much where they were talking about that aspect of the Epstein trafficking and recruiting, that when they were 17, they were often dismissed because then they were too old. Because then they were adults and no longer attractive to them. I mean, this is sickness down to the bone marrow. This is a sickness, a predatory, monstrous. I mean, there's not even words. There's not even words. And I think, I hope one day that this could be something that, brings a divide together. I mean, one of my very good friends who was very violently sexually assaulted by a stranger outside her apartment in New York City. She was roofied 2 times in Los Angeles, and has had numerous other things happen to her, harassment. And she was texting me, very emotional, by all of this, obviously. And she said, I wonder if this will be the thing that could bring people together. And I said, listen, don't get your hopes up, but it's something. Is it going to bring everybody together? No, but it might bring some people.
I mean, look, when you have Donald Trump saying that everybody, that this is a hoax, you're
Yeah.
going to have a large segment of the MAGA base, even if they have him on video saying this is AI,
Yeah.
it's a hoax.
Oh
right?
yeah. That's what he says now. Like you saw the video yesterday. They were showing of like the trash bag being thrown out the side of the window of the White House.
Yeah.
And Steve Ducey? Which Ducey is it? I forget. He shows the video and he was like, "That's AI." Like, because this is what they do now. This is what they do now. Everything they don't like is AI. So yeah.
And look, I mean, they figured out something very smart that people like Johnny Depp figured out and others have figured out, which is sue for defamation.
Mhm.
Because by the time you're done suing somebody into oblivion, even if that person wins, they're going to be so broke and so morally exhausted
Yep.
that it's not even going to be worth it to come forward. And it's going to send a message, which is what Dershowitz did with Virginia Giuffre.
Mhm.
Giuffre.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
he did with her. He sued her into oblivion.
Mhm.
Do I believe what she said? I sure do. Why would she make it up?
Yeah.
Unless you think all of these women are making it up.
I mean,
But look what
Yeah.
happened to her. I mean, her life, she committed suicide.
supposedly.
And I didn't realize there are other girls who also committed suicide.
Of course. And to Annie Farmer was one of the women who spoke today, and she talked about her sisters, because her sister is an artist and was recruited first, and her sister had one very bad experience, and then had kind of kept it to herself. And then, anyways, there were 2 sisters, and she was saying that her older sister was receiving direct threats from Ghislaine Maxwell, who would say things to her like, you go running on the West Side Highway, accidents happen all the time. You better watch out. You better watch over your shoulders. I mean, these are people who could get something like that done easily.
It's not hard.
And listen, do any of us know that happened for sure with anybody? No. Could it have?
Well, look, here's the reality. Most crimes like this happen in private, in the sense that rapes don't happen for the most part, don't happen in public, right? It happens between one person and another person,
Right.
by design. And if all you need is something on video that now you can also attribute to AI, then I guess we might as well just stop prosecuting rape, because chances are you're not going to prosecute anybody for it.
Right.
But at least we could all agree that it happens, right? Like, I don't care how much of a Trumper you are, at least we could agree that like bad things happen. People do rape young girls.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, why do you think that this did not happen? Why is this a hoax? Why are these women standing up at this precise moment in time, including with Marjorie Taylor Greene, including one who is as she said by her own account, a registered Republican? Why would they put themselves through this? To what end? And for the last 20 years, it's not like they woke up and said, holy shit, Donald Trump's back in the White House. Let's get the movement together to
Right.
get him out of the White House. This has been going on back when Donald Trump was he even on The Apprentice back then? I don't even know. Maybe he was on The Apprentice back then, but
Maybe. I don't know. I
don't even know. 2007, right? Like,
Yeah, that sounds right.
I mean, George Bush was in the White House.
Mm,
Donald Trump was not even a factor politically before
Not really, yeah.
before birtherism, before anything. The guy at best was on the Survivor. Why do they think that this was just happening now? And why drag in all of these? Why drag in Bill Clinton allegedly? Why drag in Bill Gates? Why drag in Alan Dershowitz? Where's the hoax here? Where's the hoax? So, like, I guess that's my question, Peter Ducey, or whoever wants to be at the White House to ask this question. Like, ask the question. Why? Like,
Peter.
what are you applying as the hoax here? Because nobody can answer that question. I have so many questions. I have questions about whether Bill Barr, who investigated Epstein, had a relationship with Epstein through his father, who hired him at the Dalton School.
Right. Because again, why was Jeffrey Epstein hired to teach mathematics at this elite school with no credentials or no resume whatsoever?
I said this before. My son goes to one of these schools. Most upper school teachers there have PhDs. You do not get a job there without a college degree. You just don't. I'm sorry.
Right, because you're paying more than most people or some people pay for actual college tuition. So if you're paying for that for your child to go to school in a private school in New York City, you better be getting that.
Oh,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what these people demand.
You don't even get through the door.
Right.
Like you don't get through the door to have an interview. You don't get to prove how brilliant you. By the way, you don't need a college degree to be a brilliant mathematician. By all accounts, Jeffrey Epstein was. But how did he even get through the door to prove that he was a brilliant mathematician? I want to know if Dalton has any NDAs with any of these survivors.
Oh, listen. And there have been reports that their students said he was creepy, that they had stories and like things like that.
But you don't wake up one day and decide to be a child molester. And when you have access, it's like being an alcoholic and running a bar. Like you have access to that kind of, material. You have access to underage girls and you're a pedophile. Right? Like you can't control yourself. I want to know if there are any, I'd love to know if Dalton had any NDAs. And if so, the headmaster of the Dalton school named Donald Barr, the father of Bill Barr, would have known.
Yeah.
Barr,
I'm assuming he's not alive anymore.
No, but Bill Barr at the time was at Columbia University while Jeffrey Epstein was teaching in Dalton. He was also
Dalton's on the east side, right?
Dalton's on the east side. So he was also in the city. Did they meet? How did they meet? Did they know each other? Why is nobody asking Bill Barr these questions?
Sorry, just really quick. DeSantis partied at the Darlington School in Georgia where he taught. That is correct. And I actually know people who were there and can identify people that were blurred out in those photographs. And that's all I'll say about that. I don't know that he was doing anything bad to the extent like this, or if it was just like a teacher making a bad decision. I can't speak to that. But, that did happen. Yeah.
And by the way, unlike Jeffrey Epstein, who I think taught in the 70s at Dalton when I guess the lines were a little bit more blurred between teachers partying with students. But DeSantis is younger than I am. What the hell was he doing partying?
Yeah, he's like he's a few years older than me. He would have been like a senior in high school when I was a freshman. So
was it, the 90s that he was partying with them, the early 2000s?
Yeah. It was like 2001 is the year that so he taught there the year of September 11th. He had just started working there. He only really worked there, I think, for a year. And I believe he lived like on campus, if I remember correctly, because I did like a very deep dive on this when I was at my last job, because we made like a couple ads about him. And because there was an interview with Ron DeSantis and Piers Morgan, which, speaking of it being September, about September 11th. And where were you? Because he talks about September 11th kind of being this catalyst for, joining, serving the country, the whole thing. But then he can't remember where he was. Everybody remembers where they were on September 11th. You remember what you were doing. You remember where you were. You remember what the air smelled like. It was a core memory for all of us that have memories of that time. And he was like, well, I don't know. I can't really remember. And what? And it just goes to, he never speaks about his time at the Darlington School in Georgia. He never speaks about it. And I think that's strange. I think it's weird. Because he taught there for, like, this is a guy who came from an Ivy League school and got hired at this private, very well-to-do prep school in Georgia, and never talks about it. I don't know why. We don't know why. Because all I know is that when we made an ad about that, we ran that in Georgia and we ran it in Florida, his wife was very, very upset.
Well,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, we never even got to what we're over because
honestly,
I'll tell you what I'm over very briefly based on just the last couple of hours. I am so over people not having a conscience that we elect to office. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you live in a district where your member of Congress did not sign that discharge petition, there's no excuse for it. There's just no excuse for it. And I beg you to call them, and I beg you to insist that they sign that discharge petition. And what kind of human being do you have to be to not hear these women, or to hear them and not do the right thing?
Yeah. How deep in, how Gollum are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How far gone are you? And that's where, I talked about this, and not to go on a tangent about this, but like, this is why, like, the people that we elect, to your point, especially local and state government, is also extremely important. Representing your life more directly, and taking stock in those choices as well, as we're electing someone in New Jersey and Virginia, next year, New York, many, many other states. And I'm thinking specifically of Elise Stefanik as someone who never does the right thing and is so far up the ass of MAGA. She has absolutely no morals, and is getting hammered by her own constituents. And Congresswoman Ballant, I think she tweeted this morning, that Elise Stefanik hasn't had a public town hall in 6 years. And so people need to call her, and people like her, burn up their phone lines, ask them why, because they love to go on and on about the children and this, and I'm pro this, and I like horseshit. No, none of you are. You only care about yourselves and power and proximity to power.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but for whatever reason she's doing it, I don't know. Maybe it's genuine. Like, she got up there today and she spoke up. Like, I can't even believe I'm saying it, because I think she's an insane person. But, it matters. It matters to people that she spoke up today.
It does. It matters a lot, because Thomas Massie is perceived as being an antagonist of Trump's, even though they're very much in the same bandwidth.
They agree about a lot of things.
Yeah. But with her, she does matter, and you're absolutely right. And hopefully 2 more people will do the right thing. There are members of Congress in swing districts. I'm talking to you, Tom Kean, New Jersey 7. Talking to you, Mike Lawler. I'm talking to you. I mean, there's so many, right? There are 2 on Long Island. There are many in California. Do the right thing. Just do the right thing. Chris Smith, who is for decades was, I don't know if he still is, the chair of the pro-life caucus, all about protecting the lives of unborn children. What about protecting the lives of children who were born?
Right. What's the George Carlin thing? He's like, if you're preborn, that's good. If you're like, once you're a baby, you're screwed.
Yeah. The deafening, you were asking when I'm due back on Abby Phillips' show. I don't know, because after the last time Scott Jennings and I went at it so hard, I don't know if I want to go back, and I don't know if they want me back, because I don't know that I want to give oxygen to people like that anymore. So we'll see.
Well, and last night on Abby Phillips' show, because I don't go on CNN and I'm not invited on these places, so I don't care and I will say whatever.
Well, yeah.
No, I know. I'm just like, I don't know these people, so who cares? Had Scott Jennings and Ben Shapiro on the panel last night.
You know what?
Ben Shapiro and Scott Jennings were on the panel with Abby Phillip last night. How on earth? This is the way that the cable news goes. This is how.
You guys, if you want to know why we're starting Mayday Media, it is because we're never going to have people like that on here. I don't have a problem having Republicans on, by the way. I even have a problem having Trumpers on. I just want people who don't lie for a living.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't want to debate whether the earth is round or the earth is flat. Like, we could all agree the earth is round, and then we could discuss whether tax rates are too high or not, or we could discuss whether Obamacare was a good thing or not. Like, I'm fine with that. I just don't want to deal with people who are just pathological fucking liars. You, Scott Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to necessarily be on shows anymore where I have to sit there and waste my breath, where one person says the earth is round and the earth is flat, says the earth is flat, and we have a fair and balanced debate. I did that for a very long time at Fox News. I'm not particularly interested.
Fair and balanced.
Yeah, fair and balanced. So from my perspective, am I going to be on? Probably, but I'm not rushing to go back. They asked me to go on last week. I couldn't. And I'm not really going out of my way to do it. So,
and I will say the women from I've Had It podcast, love them. One of them, and I always forget their names, was on Abby Phillips. She's on it. I mean, she like rips them to shred every single time. She's great. She's another one, like both of them speak plainly, speak, in ways that people can understand and authentically, and people gravitate towards that. It's like, that's the kind of shit that we want to be doing. And that's why we all have to be doing it, because the algorithm is stacked against us. And we have years, if not decades, of catching up to do. And that's why that's one of many reasons, but a big reason why we're building this and why we're doing this.
So like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
And we are so grateful to you all for being here. I don't know if is Tara still on vacation next week? She might be.
Yeah, she'll still be gone next week.
Okay, she'll still be gone. But we will still be here. Jennifer Welch, that's her name. Thank you. Somebody in the chat put her name down.
Yeah.
And
speaking of Tara, just really quick, her over it, just so I can share. I didn't really have an over it just because everything pisses me off. But the Joe Scarborough thing. Joe Scarborough was on the show yesterday morning, suggesting that J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, get together with Trump and make a plan to fight crime in Chicago. So
you know what? Sorry, Dad, in advance. Fuck you, Joe Scarborough. Seriously, fuck you.
Can't stand
Joe Scarborough ran. He and Mika hightailed.
Such a douche. I can't.
Hightailed their asses down to Mar-a-Lago.
Like immediately
to kiss the ring as soon as Trump won. After warning everybody that the earth was going to collapse if Trump won, it's going to be Armageddon. He's basically Hitler, and all of a sudden they hightail it down to Mar-a-Lago to hang out with Hitler. Their words, not mine. So I don't really need Joe Scarborough. Tea Party Joe, not even Tea Party, Newt Gingrich acolyte Joe Scarborough, who got elected in the 94 wave of Florida, to give talking points. JB Pritzker, who I think is killing it right now.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome. Love him.
Meeting
the moment, sir. Meeting the moment.
He's meeting the moment. You know what, MSNBC, that's a network I'm going to be on tomorrow if they don't cancel. But I don't really give a shit. They disgrace themselves by having Joe Scarborough still do that show.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of him.
Do people even watch it anymore? Because as soon as they went down to Mar-a-Lago, I was like, oh, hell no. It was the first thing I usually turn on in the morning, because the Today Show, no offense to the people at Today Show, it's just like, it's like, oh, they don't really like talking about anything. So I would turn on Morning Joe. I don't do that anymore. I haven't since then.
I don't know. I don't watch. Here's my dirty secret. Even though I'm on cable news, I don't watch cable news because I think
I don't either. If there's a really big like newsy thing, we've talked about this. CNN, I always, because they have like legit reporters like all over the world. But for the most part, I have to be honest. You know who I watch? I watched The Bulwark. I turned to The Bulwark. I love The Bulwark. I love I don't always agree with them, but I think they do a great job over there. Bulwark is fantastic. Go subscribe. I love their content. They always have great things to say and really smart people on. I listen to David Pakman. I've had it. Like these are the people that I want to talk to. These are the people I want to hear from. And because they don't bullshit us. And the people on TV do. They
Yeah.
just do.
Yeah. I think I'm at the point in my life, and I think you're there too, Michelle. And I think most people in this chat are there as well, which is why you guys are listening to us and not to cable at the moment. I'm really kind of over being bullshitted and being told that up is down and black is white because somebody in corporate needs to get the FCC to do them a favor, which is what this is all about.
Yep.
So on that note, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. I am a little under the weather. You could probably hear, which is why I'm a little.
I can't actually. You sound and seem fine.
No,
yeah.
I'm pretty sick, but it's okay. I will be back next week in good health. I will be back on Saturday for another episode of Coffee and Conversation.
Yeah.
The best part of the week, as far as I'm concerned, is Saturday mornings at 10 a.m.
So
Eastern.
true.
So thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for sticking with us from 10.
I know we've been on forever.
We've been on forever. So I'm going to go to I'm going to take to my bed.
Yeah, I'm going to drink some coffee because I think I got about 3 hours of sleep. I was texting Julie at 4:15, I think, in the morning. I was texting her links to join the StreamYard today because I was up all night long, like making new graphics and like doing all this stuff.
I was up. I saw your text. And
Were you really? Oh, we suck. Go to bed, us.
Go
to bed.
I know. And I didn't respond because I was feeling so not well that I just couldn't even like responding. But yeah. So you guys, thank you for joining us. It's been hours. I'm going to take to my bed. I'm going to write a Substack column on something today for tomorrow. And stay healthy, everybody. Hopefully,
stay healthy. COVID is everywhere. Stay healthy. And, like and subscribe. Follow us on Mayday, the Mayday Network on YouTube. We're on other social platforms as well, although not as active yet. We will be. But thank you so much for being here today with us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.